I'm Margie Tickner. I'm director of Kemmerer Library, and I'm so pleased to have some Harding seniors and Harding 7th graders here with us today for their Day of Service 2024 to talk about memories of Harding. So I'm going to stop talking and ask you guys questions and hope that you talk. And the hope is that you will interact and compare what your childhood is like from now and back when these guys were kids. I'm going to start by asking a silly question, which is, what do you do when you want ice cream?
I beg my dad to let me get ice cream and we go to Penguin.
You go to Penguin. And where's that?
Bernard's.
Bernard's, okay.
Me and my family like to go to New Providence to Zita's to get ice cream every once in a while.
Okay, lovely.
When I was a child, I could have a pony and a cart. And me and my friends would go in that with real feet. We'd go to Marsville, there was a store. Sam and Ida's had a store there. And we would go there. In Marsville.
So did you have a car or your parents?
My parents did.
Your parents. And would they drive you?
No, my father had passed away and my mother didn't drive, but my brothers lived with us.
Okay.
On Saturday nights, they would take us to Millington with our friends and we would get ice cream. We'd get
Nice.
Hershey ice cream.
Luann?
Well, we had Bill's Little Deli in town, so we would sometimes walk, because I lived close to the school here. So we would walk to Bill's and have ice cream.
Hi. Anybody else?
Barbados used to be Barbados,
Barbados.
in the early days. So see, I'm older than you. So
And where was Barbados?
it's where the deli is now, kind of across from the Tunizellics. No, the one in New Vernon.
The one that's closed.
Yeah, that was the only thing in town in those days.
An ice cream shop.
Well, it had everything.
A deli.
There was a meat market.
Right.
It had every little thing, milk and stuff like that.
So like a little general store.
Yes.
I go to my freezer.
You go to your freezer. Okay, if you wanted to go out and get ice cream,
I walk.
you walk. Where do you walk to?
McCool's.
So usually I ask my sister or somebody who can drive to drive me down to Bernardsville and get Dairy Queen or McCool's.
Okay.
We usually just like go to either Bernardsville or Madison to McCool's.
Okay.
Or to Beanie's.
Beanies and Marston. Yeah.
Sure, I lived on Redgate Road, and what you know now as the Green Village Deli was Bodey's Market. And there were a couple others of us, and we just get on our bikes and ride down. There was no traffic, very little, down Dix's Mill Road, sit in the park across the street, and then ride back. And that was what we did for ice cream.
And was that an ice cream shop or?
It was no, it was a Bodey's Market was a market, a meat. It was like a grocery store, and they had a
general store sort of.
yeah, but it was small. It was the same size as it is now,
Uh-huh.
and that's where my mom shopped. Got her meats, and I can see them pulling paper towels off the top rack, and things like that. Yeah.
Well, we use our bicycles. It was our mode of transportation. It was too far to walk everywhere. It was just long distances. So we jump on our bikes. Lots of times when we left school, we would ride our bicycles. And we'd just go down on the corner of Village Road and Millbrook, where the deli is there now that's closed. That used to be a little store next to the post office. And they had ice cream freezers, had little cups or little popsicles, and that was it.
Marcia, how about you?
I grew up between the two stores, so I could choose to get on my bike and go to either one. I had to go uphill to go to the New Vernon store. And Bodey's Market was just straight down Pleasantville, so I could just get on my bike and ride that. That was an easier. But we did a lot of long bike rides, and we would ride our bike to Madison even to get ice cream or donut brownies. Yeah.
Bicycle to the Minuteman.
Minuteman.
The Minuteman
On 202.
on 202.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you drove there? Mom or dad drove you there?
Bicycle.
You biked.
We
You
walked. We were
walked.
closer than we could walk.
Okay.
I lived in Morris Township out by the Morris Plains line. We used to have this guy by the name of Charlie Chines. He's a good humor man. He delivered oil in the wintertime, and in the summertime, he had an ice
Switched
cream.
to ice cream.
And every night, 5:30 up to 6:30, 6:45, you'd wait to hear the bells ringing. And every kid would stand in front of his house waiting for Charlie Chines to come along. And of course, we didn't have any money. And of course, in those days, this is going to be hard for you kids to believe. But you know, the twin pops, the optical twin pops, used to cost 8 cents. And how you got the money to get the 8 cents for the ice cream cone? You'd go back in the day, right? They'd give you 2 cents for a pop bottle. If you took back a bottle to the store, they'd give you 2 cents. If you took back a beer bottle, they'd give you 2 cents. And you walked around, if somebody discarded a bottle out of the window, you picked up the bottle and you took a bite. Then comes 7:15, there you were with your 8 cents, and you got your orange popsicle. That's how you did it.
We would always be on our bicycles. It was our only way of getting around. And I grew up on Blue Mill, right, not far from the library. So I was central to here. And you'd have close friends in your grade, or you'd have the person would have a brother or a sister. You'd be friends. But you would always hang around with 2 or 3 or 4. You'd always do something after school.
Yeah.
When we left school, there were probably 30, 40 bicycles left the school simultaneously. There was a crossing guard out there. It wasn't even a crossing guard. They just blow a whistle, they stop the traffic, and you'd race down the street. But
We also played softball. Because we lived out the other way in the corner field.
Right.
When the field was mowed and
Oh,
plowed
yeah,
out.
at school, yeah.
Not at school, out on Van Buren Road.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was the 8 or 10 of us that lived within bicycle range.
Yeah.
And you just meet
You
there and
always find a group.
Yeah. ice skated on the ponds anywhere.
Fishing was a big thing. You
Yeah,
get on your
fishing.
bicycle, grab your pole, and you go fishing.
And we used to
For the most
explore Great Swamp. We would just go back and hike through that.
Sure.
And it was, in fact, when one of my brother's friends passed away, it was a boy I babysat for. His obituary talked about apparently when he moved away from here, that was his fondest memory that he shared with his family. And so they wrote that up in his obituary about the Great Swamp and going out into they even took some kind of a boat and put it in the little streams out there and explored. So
Yeah.
And there was hunting, and as you got older, you know, there was hunting and trapping and that type of thing.
mhm.
Well, picture me driving on my bicycle down the road with a gun, with a shotgun. When you go hunting,
Right.
Wow.
rabbits, squirrels, pheasants. You're just driving down the road.
Or your fishing rod.
They call the
And-
police today.
And I drove the tractor from 12 years old
Yeah.
back and forth across to Bockovens, which is now
Please do.
the farm, which is now Great Swamp headquarters.
Uh-huh.
That was my father's cousin, and they need the tractors over there. They need tractors here, so they needed somebody to move the machinery and all.
And you only had one policeman. So.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
There was only one policeman.
Yeah.
Really?
Harold Emery.
Right in the corner of Blue Mill and Village.
And he slept late, so you got to.
So that was the time to get in trouble, Walt. You figured that out. How about any of these things for you guys? Fishing, hunting, ice skating, driving a tractor. Anybody do any of those things?
Yeah, we do ice skate. Some people ice skate down at Bean Park. But I mean, a lot of things you guys are saying, we would never be allowed to do that in like a million years. It's gotten so dangerous. Like, well, not dangerous, but we've been so protected. I live right down there on Long Hill Road. I'm not even allowed to walk down here. And I live like 500 feet away.
It's interesting. I think, Walt, a word that you used was sheltered, right? And I feel like what you're saying, Molly, is that you guys feel so sheltered,
Yeah,
right?
different
And
way.
Different way,
Yeah.
right?
We used to swim in Bain Park.
I was just exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It was something dangerous. Bain Park, when you drive right up to Bain Park where it's all weeds right there where the walls are. Every spring, maybe this time of the year, the town would dump a few loads of sand.
Yeah.
Make a beach.
Yeah.
It would all the road and wash away in the wintertime. And we would swim. And right where the fountain is out there was a pipe and it was all muddy underneath,
People would come with their horses and walk through the water too.
Well, sure. I mean, it was here. That was where we would swim.
Yeah.
So where does everybody go for a movie?
I've only gone like maybe 5 times. But if we do go, we go to AMC. Any AMC.
Or you stream it on your device?
I also go like with a friend, like right in Madison, like AMC,
Yeah.
and watch like TV.
Right,
Yeah.
at home?
I
Okay.
usually go with my brother to AMC in Morristown.
Went to Morristown, right where the big MPAC or whatever is. That used to be a beautiful movie theater.
Oh, really?
Park Theater.
It was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Saw The Godfather there, Sound of Music. That was a beautiful theater.
There was a Jerry Lewis cinema in Basking Ridge early on too. And that, so when you try to go as close, we never drove far.
We used to go to Burnsville. And then time on Monday, if the women went, they gave them dishes.
Dishes.
Dishes
Wow.
as a just gift for coming.
Yeah, and every Monday they'd give them a different piece. So bought them, but then coming to the movie.
Oh, that's great.
That's the oldest movie theater in the state of New Jersey that's still operating right now.
The one in Bernardsville?
Yes. Mhm.
I wonder if it was closed for a while.
It was closed during COVID, yeah.
Okay. How about recess? So it's sad news that these kids do not have recess. So recess stops in 6th grade. So if you can think back to last year, what did you do for recess? What was your favorite thing?
I usually go on the swings or we
Swing.
played Foursquare.
Foursquare. Okay.
Well, that was my best class. Favorite class. No, we used to do a number of things, and it was usually sports related. The fields were somewhat limited, so we played softball a lot rather than baseball until they got the new field built.
We usually just like talk. Talk. Yeah. Or like we'll go on the swing sometimes.
How about, do you have Gaga?
We're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to play Gaga. Why not?
No. Because there was an accident a few years ago at recess, and now you can only play in gym class when you're under like constant supervision. We played cops and robbers mostly.
So what is cops and robbers?
It's basically like the robbers have to run, and the cops, if you get tagged by a cop, you have to like stay in jail until another robber tags you out.
I think the biggest thing that we all did was like go on the swings. Like that was the biggest thing. It was like everyone would always try to run right to the swings as soon as they could. And so that was really fun. And then also just like playing games as like a class together. Mostly it was like cops and robbers.
Like tag, yeah.
Yes. So a lot of it was also, and like we didn't even need to use like the equipment or anything. It could even just be running around and playing like cops and robbers.
Yeah.
So that was really fun.
What about Foursquare? So,
Yeah.
you still do it?
Yeah.
Well,
I remember
the tennis court, I'm pretty sure it's where you do it. They kind of blocked that off because too many people were tripping and like scraping their knees and stuff.
But no, they still have like on the black.
Yeah, on the blacktop.
Yeah.
What about field day? Do you still have field day?
Oh
Yeah.
It's really fun actually, but I think that definitely there's been some changes. Like I know well even like for the time that I've been at this school, there has been a lot of changes on like the events we used to do and now what we do.
And like a lot of like they stopped selling bagels.
Yeah, but it's just so much fun, and I love seeing like all of the team spirit, and like I don't know if everyone had it, but we always had white versus blue. It was always
And it's really fun to see all the kids like get into it because it's very like it's really big competition because we're like sharing colors and we're painting ourselves colors. It's really fun.
Was there a bike race still?
No, we never had that.
That would have been
That
fun.
was really fun.
Okay, let's hear about some of the older memories of recess and field day. So you obviously have
Well,
strong
the bike-
memories.
when we were around, we could only pick 4 events or something like that you could go in, and so the bike race was always very popular. And if the field way down there, the one corner all the way to the other corner was the bike race, and there was many more bikes than you could accommodate as far as that particular event, and it was racing and fun, and everybody was challenged. I have very fond memories of that. I have very fond memories of field day too.
Pretty much the same thing. I remember Foursquares was big when I was there. We would get there early. Like my mom was a teacher, so we always had to go with her to school. But kids would come early and like for 45 minutes before school started, and we'd have these competitions, and then they also tetherball.
Oh yes, tetherball, yes.
And you just would wait forever, to get your turn for that. It's a lot of fun.
We used to have jump rope was a big thing in my days. And dodgeball.
What about Run Rabbits Run? We used to play Run Rabbits. Do you remember Run Rabbits Run?
What's that?
So person in the center and you run to get to the other side of the field, like.
Oh yeah.
And then if you get tagged, you're in the middle. Then before you know it, it's like a whole everybody's in the middle, and there's like
Like
two.
sharks and
Kind of like
otters.
monkey in the middle.
Yeah, sort of like that.
Like when you had recess, did you have a playground as well, or was
Yeah.
it-
So when I was here, depending on the year, there were trailers in that back parking lot.
Mhm.
Because third grade was in the trailers, third maybe fourth. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then so we had to stay down in that lower section. We weren't allowed up there. A lot of construction because that other school over on the other side was under construction during a lot of those years. It took a few years to build. And so you didn't want to get in the way of that kind of stuff. But we had 4 squares. We had the swings. We had a seesaw. We had a big handball court. We had a seesaw. Yeah, there was a big
I
handball.
think they turned that to tennis.
Maybe I didn't even know you had tennis courts.
It was like we have one. It's like right beside the swings, up like a little hill.
Yes, it
That's
was
where-
fun. I mean, I think that I had very fond memories of those activities. You know, you didn't do the same thing all the time. One year you were doing this, your friends were doing this. Do 4 squares one year, the next year they always had a little wiffle ball, game going on, and basketball. But there's a limited number of people that can do that. But it still was very fun.
And how about school? Like, do you think the classes are the same now versus then? So Walt shared that recess was his favorite class. Do you have another one, or what was your least favorite class?
Oh, I don't know. I probably wasn't good at English.
English. Okay.
Math was probably better.
Do you remember reading any particular books in English?
I think they were all in English.
One thing that was very different, I'm looking here, this is the library. Our library, when we were here, was in the basement, in the old boiler room. It was,
Yeah.
it was a horrible little place. Because I did like to read, and it was just, it didn't have many books.
And did you have like a library class when you would go down to the basement
No.
and pick your books? No.
Really?
Yeah.
And how about you guys? Do you have library as like a structured period?
In elementary school, we had it like if you were kindergarten through 5th grade, we had the library period, but now we don't have it anymore.
Right. And so if you look around this space, so you have fabrication lab, a STEM lab, computer lab, right? So all of those have sort of taken the place of true library time. Let's talk a little bit about career aspirations. So for women, there were probably 3 careers that you could have: nurse, teacher, secretary,
Social worker.
social worker. And what did you think? Like, were those your only options?
I knew I didn't want to be a teacher or a nurse. And I really liked the social work aspect of it. I only did it for a few years. Then I got married and had children and stayed home. So
And so you went to college.
I did, and I started my master's degree too, and did not finish that. But yeah,
Do you feel like you were an anomaly to go to college? Like, were your friends going to college?
no, we all went.
You all went to college. Okay.
And a lot of people stayed home at that point. They didn't have a career as they do now.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter has 3 children and she works full time. Your mother works full time, right? Mr. Johnson? So, it's different. The cost of living is so incredibly. Ellie, you didn't work, right?
No, not after I had the kids.
Faith?
Yes and no. Secretarial, but it was
Oh, that's right.
when the kids were little. I got to a certain point and I went back part-time.
And did you go to college?
I did not.
And did you feel that your choices were very limited?
Yeah, but I was a chicken anyway, so to go anywhere, too far afield, I wouldn't do it.
How about you, Cindy?
When I went to school, I had an argument with my parents because, again, like you said, when you went to college, it was nurse or teaching, social work, and I didn't want to do any of those. And so then I majored in biology, and my father kept saying, well, you have 4 years, and then you're going to support yourself, young lady, so you better find something. But I was lucky enough that, I guess it was some of my for my junior year, I was able to get a summer job with Sandoz out on Route 10, the pharmaceutical. So then my father eased off. He saw that I could earn a living and it eased off. So I majored in bio and then went to work for Sandoz afterwards.
I became a teacher.
But did you feel like you were pigeonholed in that, like that your options were limited?
I think that was pretty much what it was going to be. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I don't think I ever thought about anything else. Yeah.
And Hess, how about for you? Did you feel like your options were limited, or did you feel like I can be anything I want?
I don't think they were limited. It was really kind of what you wanted to do, but you really had a career. You would go to high school, go to college. A lot of us went into the military right after college, and then started a career. Worked for 20, 25 years with one employer, and you retired. I mean, that really was the path. Now, where you worked, and that was your choice. I wound up somewhere I never thought I would wind up. So it wasn't like you have a plan, and it was in cement. It just evolved. Opportunities arose, and you took it.
And the world was changing.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do.
That's right.
But it was interesting. We opened up our yearbooks, and one page there, it predicts what someone's going to do for a life career, and ironically, it said Walt Morris raising dogs.
Oh, really?
Which is what he does for those of you who don't know.
I don't
He's
raise
like,
them,
"Oh,
but
Morris
I take
on
care of
Berlin."
them. Yeah.
But you had a whole career before that.
Yeah. But I think there was the expectation by most families that you're going to go to college if we can, pull it off and afford it. That was important. And I'm sure it's important today too. But I think in that era, going to college was a big thing, and staying in college and not transferring in college.
Or flunking out.
That was pretty rare. We're not flunking out. Yeah.
And do you think, again, specifically for men, that it was to go to college?
More so than I think women, and that as we just spoke, I think those three careers were kind of the direction that the women were, pointed towards.
It was an easy path too.
Right.
And it was something that you could have two jobs at home. A lot of families only had one breadwinner.
Right.
So women were mothers and were at home in that particular era. Also, colleges were one sex. There were very few co-ed schools. The Ivy League schools were all single sex. They had the women's colleges that were comparable. And that was the path. Very few were co-ed.
Yeah, co-ed was somewhat rare.
It was. State schools were.
And then
But
when co-ed dorms came, that was shocking.
How about for you kids, like hearing these stories, does that make you think like, oh my God, I'm so lucky, especially for the girls, like you're so lucky that you had the choice of what you want to do?
Yeah, I feel very grateful that I can have a career wherever I want now and not just have to be necessarily like working in the kitchen or anything like that.
And do you have career aspirations? What do you want to be?
I think I really want to be some type of scientist, maybe. I really like science. And I really like STEM as well.
Anybody else? Do you guys feel like the world is open to you and you can be whatever you want to be?
Yeah. I think you have to be willing to do something though if you actually want to be what you want to be.
Give it a try, take a risk.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. Anybody else? How about you? What do you want to be?
I don't really know.
I don't know. What are you interested in?
Like sports.
Sports? Okay.
Can I speak for my wife?
Of course,
Who's
please.
unable to be here because she has dementia. She graduated in '56 from high school. She has a PhD in chemistry from Harvard. She went to the University of California at Berkeley and got a bachelor's degree. She was very determined. She grew up in this small town in California and met some people, some professors from Caltech, and she was very motivated by that. So she got a PhD at Harvard. She moved here to Harding with me nearly 60 years ago, and she worked for 40 years here in New Jersey, and with a PhD in chemistry from Harvard. Quite a lady.
Yes. Anybody want to share what they're thinking of doing, or it's hard to know this early, but come on,
I don't really know.
you don't know. But you feel like you could
Yeah,
do
I feel like
anything.
I
You could be an astronaut or
Yeah.
anything.
wanted to.
Okay. Anybody else? What do you guys want to be?
I don't really know.
You don't know. But you feel like you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay. How about who was an influence on your life? So maybe we have some similarities here. So, parents frequently can be a role model or somebody who influences your life in a positive way, or someone you want to emulate, or maybe it's a sports hero or something like that. So, anybody want to share with us who you look up to?
My sister.
Your sister. Why?
Well,
Is she a good person?
yeah, she's a good person, and well, she really helped me go go through my life, and she just I don't know, she just makes my day.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have a sibling that they look up to, or your parents?
I look up to my parents because they really conditioned me for the real world, and I really enjoy that they're kind of just conditioning me and getting me ready for life.
Conditioning you, that's interesting. So what are they
Like
doing?
they're kind of just teaching me the ways of life.
Uh-huh. It's not easy out there, right?
Yep.
Great. Anybody else from the students want to share? Your parents you look up to? Who do you look up to?
I like to my
Hi, Jake.
parents.
Your parents.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things that, help, like, they help me through, like, life and stuff like that. And, yeah, they're just helping, yeah.
That's great. Okay. Elle, you want to tell us who did you look up to?
My parents.
Your parents.
I really did, yes. Very hardworking people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an only child. So, and in being in Harding, and we lived over on 202 near the Minuteman, and it was, you had to find ways to get around town, and my parents were very, very good and very kind.
Lou, how about you?
Well, my parents were immigrants, and only one of them graduated from 8th grade, and they insisted on education, and they pushed. They must have been successful.
Yes.
Yeah, they were immigrants, and the family was coal miners in Illinois, and as I said, only one graduated from 8th grade. One didn't graduate at all. I mean, one went to 6th grade, one went to 3rd grade of parents and grandparents, but they just insisted on education, and they thought that the United States provided that opportunity, which it did.
So let's just talk a little bit about the immigrants. So where were they from?
Italy.
Italy.
Yes, my father was from northern Italy. My mother was from central Italy, and they met in Illinois, small coal mining town.
Did you grow up here?
No.
But when you moved here,
Yeah.
you felt welcomed by the community.
Yeah, I think so. Mike and I have been talking about Harding politics for years.
I'm right, he's wrong, and that's the end of the conversation. He just doesn't understand.
How about you, Mike?
How about me? My mother was probably the biggest influence in my life. We really didn't have a whole lot. And I look back at what she did and how she kept the family together. Just absolutely remarkable. There was never a bad word out of her mouth. Always took care of the grandkids, always there for us. She was just a good person. She understood the rules of life, She just had that knack to it. And I look back at her, she was an absolutely remarkable woman.
Lovely. Twinkle, you have somebody you looked up to?
My father.
Your father.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's British. And like Lou's parents, education was something that was really important to him. And he made sure my sister and I, had it.
Ollie, do you have No? Who do you look up to now? Your parents?
I don't really know. I don't really look up to anybody.
Really?
Yeah.
Teachers? No?
No.
You're your own person?
Yeah, I don't really think of it like that.
How do you think of it? Do you see somebody do something as a role model and think I want to be like that person? Or no?
No, I'm just gonna be who I am.
Okay. Good. So that's interesting also, right? Because I don't know that back then, would you have thought like I can just be who I want to be?
No, I think we pretty much were told by the time we were ready to start high school that you should figure out what you want to be because you have to be on the right track.
Yeah.
When we went
You
to
had to
high
take
school,
courses.
you were either in general ed, business, or college prep. So that's when the decision was made in 8th grade, where you were going.
Go ahead.
Definitely my parents, like especially my mom. She taught me like a lot of my like stuff that I know now. And like just taught me like what's right and what's wrong. And like she just made me like a strong person.
Great. Anybody else?
I look up to my older brother. He's 7 years older than me, and he's really helped me a lot with homework and with emotional things. So he's my greatest hero.
Very nice. Have you told him that?
Well, I've tried to.
Besides from when you try to beat him up.
I punch him occasionally. He annoys me. He's a very annoying person. Occasionally.
You always want him to come home from college, but then you just beat him up when he gets home.
Occasionally. Maybe once or twice in a day.
Okay. Anyone else?
You're my sisters.
Your sisters?
Because, they're always there for me. Like, they're always there for me, and I just look up to them because they're just like a role model to me.
That's great. What else?
I guess my dad, he teaches me a lot of things, and he's a good person.
Lovely.
Well, besides family, I would say the teachers, and part of the reason is my mom was a teacher at Harding School when I went to Harding School. So they were all her friends, and they were, the people that what the teacher said went. So that's what I'd say.
I would say my mother, she was a young widow, and she taught me a lot. Even though we didn't have a lot or she didn't drive, I learned a lot from her.
So let's talk a little bit about Harding and what it means to live here and perhaps some traditions. So last week was steak and lobster dinner, right? Many of you were there. It was delicious as always. Were you that steak and lobster? Yes, that's a special Harding tradition, right? I don't think there's too many towns that have that sort of thing. So are there other things, kids, that you can think of that you feel is so special to Harding?
Do you go to the auction? I know we all work at the auction. Do you go to the fireman's auction?
I do actually. It's really nice.
Find some good stuff.
I actually found an old ShopRite hat, which was
Anybody else?
I go there, yeah.
Go.
My au pair is a firefighter, so she sets up and I help her sometimes.
That's great.
I remember going as a kid, and I remember at the end you could get something for a dime, and I brought pant stretchers home. I didn't even know what they were, but I got them for a dime, and I was so excited. My mother's going,
Pant
"Oh my
stretchers,
gosh,"
that's
but-
interesting.
Yeah, but
And then they end up back at the auction.
auction
the
the
next
next
year.
year,
Next year, yeah.
Things back, right?
Did you want to say something?
My father was a volunteer firefighter, and he would like help out and look at stuff and make sure everything's nice and organized.
And there used to be Archie's like skate swap.
Archie's resale down in Myersville. Absolutely. That was fantastic place.
So somebody want to describe it so the kids can. I haven't been there, but I've heard about it.
It was a mess.
It doesn't exist.
There was a certain spot for the skates, but everything else was just all over the place.
And so you could bring like the skates that you outgrew and then just take another pair.
Just
Well,
exchange.
the swap.
Just swap them, yeah.
Didn't we have to
Every
pay a
year
little
you
bit?
grew and you got a new pair of shoes. Not new, but
Didn't he have reindeer?
Yeah.
He had
Yes,
reindeer.
yeah.
Oh,
Live
that's right. I see the
reindeer, right.
reindeer
you got a good memory.
for old stuff, not new stuff.
There's like the Memorial Day parade that we all go to, and like all the kids at the school like ride their bikes through it, and there's like the like people in town like go through it, and it's just like really fun. And then like the steak and lobster night, as you said, yeah, like all the kids go there, and we're all like hanging out, and it's like a town tradition.
Yeah.
We all make essays and we submit them, or poems, and we submit them to whoever runs the Memorial Day parade, and then whoever they think is the best gets to read it for the parade.
Oh, that's
I'm
lovely.
pretty sure they also go to like soldiers too.
Yeah.
And you also
Yeah.
win prize money.
So was that a tradition when you guys were here?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's cool that it's been going on for all these years.
I don't think I'm ever gonna win it, but
But if your letter is also going to a soldier, then that's lovely too.
yeah.
Did you guys
If you
ever
can read
have
it.
yours selected?
I did, and my kids too.
Really?
Both my girls.
Ah,
good
that's
for you.
lovely. And how about other traditions from when you were kids? It's I assume steak and lobster is a newer.
Yeah, that's newer. But when I was little, it seemed as if winter lasted forever, and the pond in New Vernon, Bean Park, would freeze over. I mean, and we would go to school, we would run home, grab a snack, bring some hot chocolate. We would all meet down at the pond. They would have some firemen there that would light it like a fire, and you'd just be there for hours and hours.
That's a great one, skating at Bean Park. Do you remember doing that also?
Yes, and then you also could, when I was in school, you could swim at Bain Park, and the town put sand there and stuff, and you could swim there, and we used to all gather there and walk up to the store and get snacks.
Like Santa on a fire truck.
Santa on a fire truck. Good. Anybody else? Can you think of anything?
They usually do like Memorial Day parade, but we didn't have that this year. Oh, the back to school barbecue.
Back to school
That's just for
barbecue.
Harding.
We had field day too.
Hmm.
Field day was fun.
It was always fun to win.
No, it was fun because you went from one event to the next, and you were mixed in with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you were mixing with the other class. It wasn't just an 8th grade or a 7th grade event. It was you were mixing with the others, and yeah, it was just there was running, softball throws, dashes, relays, long jump. What else?
High jump.
High jump.
Potato race.
Potato race,
and
sack race, three-legged race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Can you guys tell us some of the things that you're looking forward to on Friday? Or are any of the things that these guys mentioned, are they still part of it?
The Fast relay races. races.
Relay.
I think a lot of those are still around, but now we do
We have a bounce
tug of war.
What do you do?
Tug of war.
Tug of war.
We have like a bounce house obstacle course.
And do you mix grades also?
No.
No.
You just go against the other class.
Okay.
I remember marching the parade though, with a bunch of kids.
The band.
Oh yeah, the Girl
The
Scouts.
band.
And the Girl Scouts.
And the Girl Scout. Yeah, but yeah, we were in the
Cub
band.
Scouts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have band?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. And you march in the parade, the band marches?
No. No.
Why do you say it like that?
We just kind of play in the band room, but we do go to Dorney Park, which is a theme park. It's tomorrow.
Right.
Because we compete and we get scored by judges, and then we go to the amusement park for the rest of the day.
Okay. So let's talk about news a little bit, current events. So if you had to state one event that has happened in your lifetime as a child for the seniors, think back, what would it be? And kids, what would be sort of not the defining moment, but sort of that you can picture, oh, I remember that cover of the New York Times, or however you get your news, or from your parents, however you learn about things.
I remember the day Kennedy was shot.
The day Kennedy was shot.
Yes, I was a sophomore in high school. I was in biology class when it.
Down the hall in French class.
God, you even remember where you were. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. How about you guys, Mike and Twinkle?
Same thing. I
Same
was on the
thing.
staircase when I heard that.
I was in Germany when it happened. I was up on the Czechoslovakian border, and of course, all kinds of alarms and everything went off that, are the Russians coming? Who did this? And it was, you were kind of getting it through German television, what was going on with Kennedy. And I mean, I was so far removed from it, but I can remember us all sitting there in a room watching, what's going on, and what's going to happen now. We were pretty much on the front line. That's when we had, the Berlin Wall, the whole thing. So it was I remember a whole lot of that. A little later on in life, my daughter was in the World Trade Center when it got hit. That was, you couldn't find her, and it was scary. It really was. But it's part of life. You got to take the bad with the good.
I remember the air raid drills we had here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Where the cold war. We used to have to go out in the hallway and put your arms over your head, and that was scary. And then you were home. They had monitors that would. I remember Mr. Wetzelberg, our next door neighbor. He would walk up and down the road to make sure nobody was out on the road, and you had to be home. And it was strange.
Do you remember when we were kids, when we were in grade school, you used to have an air raid alert, and you used to have to hide under your desk
Yeah.
for a nuclear explosion?
Right.
How was that desk going to help me?
Yeah.
What were they going to do? Do we know?
And we were in the hall, and the windows were right behind us. And we're sitting in the hallway on the
Get under
floor.
your desk.
Okay, kids, can you answer? So tell us what you think the biggest news of your life has been, and tell us about some of the drills that you have to have. Did you hide under your desk in case of a nuclear explosion? I think not.
No.
No. So tell me what's a drill?
We have a fire drill, or we
Fire drill, okay.
visit the building, go to the amphitheater.
Okay. And maybe an active shooter drill? That was certainly something that you guys never had, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
There's
What?
like a evacuation drill where you have to go out to the field.
Okay. How about any current events that you think of that you so clearly remember, like these guys do, which was, so when was he shot?
November the 22nd, 1963.
Okay. So that was a long time ago, and yet these guys remember it like that. Is there something that you all remember that happened? So 9/11 was, you're too young for 9/11.
That's hard to believe.
Gee, that's hard to believe.
I know. Yeah.
I feel like COVID and like the
COVID,
Queen dying.
right, yeah.
Was like
COVID and the Queen dying?
Yeah.
Okay.
COVID was very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very scary time. And I think, we're looking back, and I think we come through it pretty well.
Would you guys agree with that? I mean, you guys had your lives we all had our lives so disrupted, but you get so much out of being in school, right? The socialization, hanging out with your friends, and you didn't have any of that. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you missed out, or do you feel like, oh, it was
Yeah.
just a blip and now you're over it?
I feel like we missed out on a lot of things. Like there were like a lot of field trips and like stuff that we do in school that was like missed out on for like a year or two.
This brings up something about when I entered the school this morning with Mike. It's related to this, but not exactly. But I'll get it on your film anyway.
Yeah, please.
Back in 1969, I invited a Russian woman scientist to spend several days with me at Bell Laboratories. She was fairly famous. It was difficult to get her into Bell Laboratories at the time, but one of the things she wanted to see was Harding Township School, because she knew I lived here. We'd had her at dinner at our home, so I brought her to Harding Township School, and we came in and we opened the door and walked down the hallways, met a couple of teachers, because my children were in Harding Township School at that time. This was 1970s, 1979. She was here. It might have been 1980. And so we spent probably an hour or so walking around both school buildings. And then we left and got in the car and went back to Bell Laboratories. And she said to me, "This is such a different experience going into this school, meeting the teachers and all." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, in Russia, the schools are locked up tight, and you can't get in just walking in like we did." You all remember that went to Harding School here.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to make any editorial comments here, but just think about that for a minute. It was 1979. That's only 40 odd years ago, folks. And Harding Township School is locked up, as every other school is. what's happening in the United States. That really struck me with her at the time, and it struck me this morning getting in with Mike.
What about living in Harding? Do you feel lucky to live here? Do you feel like, oh, it's such a small town, I'm gonna bust out of here as soon as I can?
Yeah, exactly. I actually really enjoy living here.
Why do you enjoy living here?
It's kind of like a small town. I'm not really like a big city person in general. I really just like small towns.
Okay, but you guys are ready to bust out.
I feel like it's just too tiny. Like just a little bit bigger would be nice. It's just I don't really like how small it is here.
Some of us don't want it to be any bigger. Some of us tried to keep it small over the years.
Kids, you have had no choice as to living in Harding, but I think some of you feel lucky to live here. So what do you think about Harding? Do you want to stay here? Let's start with the kids first.
I think it's a really pretty town to live in, and we're very lucky. But hearing the stories from these people, it seems like it was a much more fun town back then. Like now, we're not allowed to bike anywhere because of all the cars, and there's no sidewalks. So it's much more boring than it was back in their day.
That's interesting.
Wow.
I don't think you guys would have anticipated that sort of statement,
no.
right?
I didn't realize that you're not allowed to bicycle because of your parents.
Yeah, and it's also just really dangerous.
Yeah,
with all the cars.
with all the cars, there's no sidewalks, there's no street lights.
We rode our bikes everywhere.
Every Saturday, my girlfriend and I would bike, and we would figure out where we were going. And one week it would be Madison, one week it would be Bernardsville, one week it'd be Basking Ridge. Usually just to go get something to eat. And
Or to meet up with some boys.
no, we were too little to even care.
Oh.
It was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade we were doing this.
And you didn't have a backpack, you had a basket on the front
That's
of your
right.
bike.
Basket on the front.
Yeah.
And a few dollars that you made doing a lot of babysitting so you could buy your lunch or your treats.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, both of us grew up here. And my husband had a corporate job, and we made 7 moves in 7 years. We lived in Philadelphia, San Francisco, Mobile, Alabama, Virginia Beach, and South Jersey, and Cherry Hill. And we decided we wanted to come back here. But we had the opportunity, just like Hesse traveled too, to find out what was out there. And it's definitely worth it to find out what's out there. You'll find this is really a good place.
Yeah, I think we grew up leading a kind of sheltered life. I mean, if you were going to have friends, they were a distance away, and you either rode a bike or you had to have your parents take you, that type of thing. And there wasn't just a playground where you could go and there'd be a bunch of kids there to shoot baskets or play sports and stuff like that. So we were pretty sheltered, and and there wasn't a lot of diversity, in the community. And when we went to Morristown, it was big. It was like a city to us, Morristown. And it was a great experience, but it was an adjustment. Would you agree? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there were no stores in town.
Okay.
There were no stores
Yeah.
on 202. There was Whiteman's Farms, and that was it. But all the country mile, all that, there was no retail.
Truly country.
And
Truly country.
where the post office is now was a gas station, and the post office across the street, and the deli, and that was it. That was your town.
Yeah. Another thing, I think this was quite agricultural out here. 'Cause
Right.
The big estates, and they farmed, and I know myself. When I was 11 or 12, I was working on the farm, whether it was cutting grass or helping with the hay or whatever it might be. And I think a lot of the others at our time were involved in that too.
Right.
You go in the municipal building now, the Kirby Municipal Building. That's where the police department is as of 1980 or so. And you go in there and you want to talk to the police, you've got to press a buzzer, you've got to have somebody, it's all locked up. Way back when the municipal building was open and Mike sat in there as a detective, Mike was our detective, you could just walk in and you could see Mike back there in his office, and you just walk in and talk to Mike anytime you wanted to, or any of the other police officers. It was completely open, the police department. We can't do that anymore. It's a little bit like Harding School is tied up. That says something about society, folks. And it bothers me. It bothers me. It was so nice to go ahead and see Mike because he and I used to argue about things. I guess, was this one on the township committee? I don't remember. Maybe
Probably
before.
so, yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't matter.
whatever.
Didn't matter. We
But
still
anyway,
argued.
you could just walk in and talk to Mike without an appointment, without anything, without bringing any buzzers. That was Harding Township.
And the things you learn from people just coming in, right, and talking to you. That's how you put together cases. That's how you put together the community. You know, people have to talk, and that's what's missing today. You go to a restaurant, you go out for breakfast at a diner, everybody's sitting there looking at their phone. Nobody at the table is even communicating with each other. I mean, how in God's world are we supposed to exist if we don't talk to each other? I don't get it. It's so easy to do. And my wife, I drive my wife crazy. She said, Mike, you can talk to anybody. Why not? What is so hard about this? I mean, do unto others as you have them do unto you. It's just like Lou said, everything is locked down and you don't talk to this guy. Don't talk. There's some nice people out here, folks, I'm telling you.
Ellie, did you want to say something?
Yes, Harding Township Police used to be at the fire department, where our fire department, that was their headquarters, was our police department way back when.
Broom closet. That's what it was.
Yeah, and the library was there.
Yeah.
In the firehouse.
One-stop shopping.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that things have just moved right along,
Exploded.
and yes, some is good.
Yeah.
Or some
The other
Change
thing-
can be good and change can be bad, right?
And again, back in the day, you remember this, the firehouse was never locked. There wasn't even a lock on the door. And you
Now
run
you need
upstairs and there's a set of double doors like that, set of double doors over there. You could just pull them and get into the police headquarters. That was security. There was no alarms, there was no nothing. But nobody cared, nobody. What are you gonna get? What's there, you know? But everything is so, if you lock somebody up, there was no place to put them in a cell or anything. There was no cells. You handcuffed them to the radiator. That's what you did.
Yeah, but you.
Well, I moved. I went to college and then moved to, went to college, went to grad school after that. And then I started working in the city, New York City, and then moved around a few times, Pennsylvania and Virginia, places like that. And, but I would say, and I said this, I made a presentation probably 6 months ago to the Historical Society about how nice it is here. If you would really know that if you've left it and come back. The fact is, it is beautiful, and the trees are great. The trees are big. The roads are still decent. Everything is really nice here, and my education at Harding I thought was strong, and I went to Bailey Ellard after that, and off to college after that. So very appreciative of my childhood, and I think we did all the basic things. There was no electronics back then, nothing like that, and just enjoyed being here. But if you go out and experience other places, other states, other life places, it's and you come back and you're like, wow, this is really nice, really nice.
How about students? So obviously you didn't pick to live here, your parents did, but what is it about Harding that you love or that you think I can hardly wait to get away from this? Are you more of a city person and you don't love these gorgeous trees?
I mean, I think it's really beautiful here, and we're very lucky to live here. Everything's so close by, and then you kind of the school's really small, so you already have a bunch of friends set for you. It's very sweet here.
Yeah, I think that something I do love is this sense of community, kind of how everyone basically knows everyone, and you can have really close relationships with a whole bunch of people because it's just a nice, quiet, small town where everybody looks out for each other, and there's nobody really that's nobody really says oh, I don't like this person, right? We're all way too close for that, And I think it's definitely the same in the schools too, is because we have a class of 25, I think. So it's kind of we're all basically siblings. So it's really great to have that bond,
So that sounds like it's pretty consistent from when you guys were going to school here too, right? Do you remember how many were in your class? Like any particular grade?
Oh, we had 52 graduating.
52?
59.
Wow.
You know, when I was here, we had like third and fourth grade was the same grade together.
really?
And the lower grades, till you got to sixth grade, then you had an individual class.
Oh.
Anybody else want to say anything about why they love Harding?
I guess, yeah. So like at Harding, like most schools, like you go to school with like a bunch of people, but like you'll never know some of them. Like they're just like people you see in the hallway. But like at Harding, you know, like everyone in the school, like everyone has relationships with like everyone. Like we all talk to like the kindergartners, and like they all know us, and it's just like good to like have people around that like you're all like friends with, and it's like a nice community.
I also think because Harding is really spacious, so it's really nice to just wake up in the morning and then look outside and you see like the sunlight and the trees. It's a very beautiful area, which is why I really like Harding.
It's like it's very quiet, and, like serene.
But the other thing I would say is that it affords you to work in Manhattan. You know, the train from Madison is easy. It's 30.6 miles to the center of 34th and 7th from where I live in Village Road. And you can work in New York. There's tons of businesses around. And Morristown is really, you know, a great little town too. So you get the benefit of having, you know, the beautiful trees and nature and all that stuff. But if you want to become a person that's going to take a career and go into Manhattan or anything like that, it's an easy commute.
I feel like it would be nice to have like something in town that we can go to and like go hang out with people. Like there's nothing like that anymore. Like there's just like like the stores like you guys were telling, like you would go to like the like shops and like get like food and stuff and like go somewhere like in town, but there's like nowhere to go. So like no one hangs out after school like in town because there's like nothing.
I've always lived in Harding. Was, you know, born here, went to school here, built a house after I got married, and now I live like just right up the street from the school. My kids went to school here. It's all I've ever known. It's just a great town.
Yeah, lived here all my life. In fact, I was born at home here, and I went to all the schools here. My brothers went to school here. And it's a community. It's a lot different now. A lot of the roads were dirt roads when I was school and stuff, but it's different. But it's a nice town. Everybody's friendly. It's a good place to live.
And what about the beauty of it? Do you appreciate that, or do you feel
it's
like,
beautiful.
I don't want to see another tree, I want to be in New York City?
I'll tell you what, talking about that, years ago, the Memorial Day Parade, I was a cop. I was a cop here for 40 years.
Oh.
And I was directing traffic, stopping the traffic from coming up, because the parade was coming down East Hill Road. So I was working the red light at the intersection. Up pulls a New York car, right? Guy says, "Hey, what the hell am I supposed to do now?" Right? I said, "Well, you got to go out to 202 and around." I explained to him how to do it. I said, "If you're smart, you'll sit there for 15 minutes and you'll see part of old America." So the guy said, "Well, I'm going to stay because I'm going to get lost." He sat there, right? And the parade came down. What, 15 minutes long, and everybody blowing a horn and throwing candy. You know what? The guy gets out of the car, comes over and says, "You know, this is one of the best things I've ever done." He said, this is what America's all about. There should be more of it." So, you know, it may be small, but it's not all that bad. I'll tell you that.